The lonely rancher arrived. "You need help, and my little girl needs a mother." He arrived on a quiet afternoon, when the sun was low and the air felt cool against the dusty ground. The ranch was far from the town, surrounded by wide fields and a few old trees. The wind moved slowly across the grass, and the only sound was the soft creak of the porch swing. It had been a long time since anyone had visited, and the ranch felt empty in a way that made it seem almost sad. The rancher stepped off his horse and looked around carefully. He was tall and strong, but his face showed years of hard work. His clothes were simple and worn, and his boots were covered in dust. He carried a small bag with supplies, and his eyes looked tired, as if he had not slept well in a long time. He stood still for a moment, breathing in the fresh air, and then he walked up to the porch. He knocked on the door once, twice, and then again. The sound echoed in the quiet air. Inside, a woman was finishing her work. She had been cleaning the small house, arranging the dishes, and preparing food. She was used to doing everything by herself. She lived alone, and she had built a life of her own. She was not afraid of hard work, and she did not like relying on others. But she also knew that life could be difficult, and she sometimes felt tired of doing everything alone. When she opened the door, she was surprised to see a man standing there. He looked like someone who had traveled a long way. His eyes were serious, and he did not smile. The woman studied him for a moment, unsure of what to say. "Can I help you?" she asked. The rancher took a deep breath and spoke slowly, as if he was choosing his words carefully. "You need help," he said, "and my little girl needs a mother." The woman blinked, surprised by his words. She did not know what to say. The sentence was so simple, yet it carried a heavy weight. It sounded like a request, but it also sounded like a command. She felt a strange feeling inside her, like a mixture of fear and curiosity. She stepped back and looked at him again. "Who are you?" she asked. The rancher hesitated. He looked down at the ground for a moment, and then he lifted his head. "My name is Daniel," he said. "I live on a ranch a few miles from here. My wife passed away 2 years ago. I have a daughter, Emily. She is 8 years old." The woman listened carefully. She could feel her heart beating faster. She had never met Daniel, and she did not know anything about his life. But the way he spoke made her feel that he was honest and serious. Daniel continued, "I have been trying to manage the ranch alone, but it has become too much. I can handle the work, but I cannot raise my daughter by myself. She needs a mother. She needs someone who can care for her, teach her, and love her. I have heard about you. People in town say you are strong and capable. They say you are kind and hardworking." The woman felt a mix of emotions. She was proud that people saw her that way, but she also felt uncomfortable. She did not like being talked about. She did not like the idea of being judged by others. She wanted to be seen as a person, not as a rumor or a story. She looked at Daniel's face and noticed something else. His eyes looked tired, but there was also a deep sadness in them. He was not asking for help lightly. He was not making a casual request. He looked like a man who had reached the end of his strength. "I don't know you," she said quietly. "I don't know if I can trust you." Daniel nodded slowly, as if he expected her to say that. "I understand," he replied. "I am not asking you to decide right now. I just wanted to come and speak with you. I wanted to be honest. I wanted you to know the truth." The woman sighed and looked away. She did not like the feeling of being pressured. She did not like the idea of leaving her life behind. She had worked hard to build her home, and she did not want to give it up easily. She had been hurt before, and she did not want to be hurt again. But she also saw the little girl's face in her mind. She imagined Emily alone, missing her mother, trying to grow up without someone to guide her. She imagined the rancher working long hours, tired and worried. She imagined the ranch becoming empty and quiet without the sound of laughter. The woman took a deep breath. "Why me?" she asked. "Why would you think I would want to leave my life and come to your ranch?" Daniel looked down for a moment, then he looked back up. "Because I have seen you," he said. "I have seen how you live. I have seen how you work. I have seen how you treat people. You are not afraid of hard work. You are not afraid of responsibility. You are kind. You are strong. My daughter needs someone like you." The woman felt her eyes fill with tears, but she blinked them away quickly. She did not want to cry in front of a stranger. She wanted to stay strong, but the words touched her heart. She could not deny that she felt something inside her changing. She felt a small spark of compassion. "I don't know if I can do it," she said softly. "I don't know if I can be a mother." Daniel's face softened. "I am not asking you to be perfect," he said. "I am asking you to try. Emily does not need a perfect mother. She needs someone who cares. She needs someone who will be there. She needs someone who will love her." The woman looked at Daniel's hands. They were rough and strong, covered in small scars. She imagined him working on the ranch, doing the hard tasks, caring for his daughter. She imagined the long days and the lonely nights. She imagined the burden he carried. She also thought about her own life. She had always lived alone. She had learned to be independent. She had learned to survive. She had learned to be strong. But she had also learned that life could be lonely. She had learned that sometimes people needed someone else. The woman closed the door slowly, then opened it again. She looked at Daniel and said, "Come inside, we can talk." Daniel nodded and stepped inside. The house was small but clean. The smell of cooked food filled the air. There was a small table in the center and a few chairs around it. The woman led him to the table and offered him a seat. They sat in silence for a moment. The woman looked at Daniel, studying him. She wondered if he was telling the truth. She wondered if he was desperate. She wondered if he was safe. Daniel spoke again. "I know this is a lot," he said. "I know you have your life. I know you have your own dreams. I am not asking you to give up everything. I am asking you to consider a new life, a life that includes my daughter and me." The woman nodded slowly. "I need time to think," she said. Daniel stood up and walked toward the door. "I understand," he said. "I will wait. I can stay at the ranch. I can come back tomorrow or the day after. I will not rush you." The woman watched him as he walked out. She felt a strange feeling in her chest. She did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would accept his offer, but she felt something inside her that she could not ignore. She felt a sense of responsibility. She felt a sense of care. As Daniel walked away, the little girl inside the ranch watched from the window. Emily had heard the door open and close. She had heard her father speaking with someone. She had wondered who it was. When she saw the man leave, she felt a small hope inside her. She hoped that this man might bring change. She hoped that this man might bring a new person into their life. She did not know the woman's name yet. She did not know if the woman would come. But she knew one thing. For the first time in a long time, she felt that maybe she would not be alone forever. That night, the woman sat by her window and thought about what had happened. The rancher's words echoed in her mind. "You need help, and my little girl needs a mother." She did not know if she would accept. She did not know if she was ready, but she knew that her life had changed. The quiet house felt different. The air felt different. The world felt different. And somewhere far away, on a ranch surrounded by wide fields, a man and a little girl waited, hoping that someone kind and strong would come into their life and bring them a new beginning. He did not come back the next day. He did not come back the day after. The woman began to think he had changed his mind. She began to think he had realized that she would never leave her life behind. She began to think that maybe she had only imagined his need. Maybe it had only been a moment of weakness. But on the third day, he returned. The sun was bright and the air felt warm. The woman was standing outside, washing the dishes on a small table near her house. She heard the sound of hooves and turned to see the rancher riding toward her. He looked tired, but his face showed a quiet determination. He stopped his horse and waited for her to speak. The woman felt her heart beat faster. She had spent days thinking about him. She had tried to imagine what her life would be like if she went to the ranch. She had tried to imagine being a mother. She had tried to imagine leaving her home. She had tried to imagine the look on the little girl's face when she met someone new. Now he was here again. She could not ignore him. "Why did you come back?" she asked. Daniel looked at her and said, "Because I want to be honest with you. I want to show you what life is like on the ranch. I want you to see it with your own eyes. I want you to understand what I am asking." The woman nodded slowly. She knew he was serious. She knew he was not playing with her. She knew he was not trying to trick her. She also knew that she was curious. She wanted to see the ranch. She wanted to understand his life. "Fine," she said. "Take me there." Daniel nodded and helped her onto the horse. She had never ridden a horse for a long distance before. She felt nervous, but she also felt a strange excitement. They rode through the fields, past the small town, and into the wide open land. The wind blew through her hair, and she felt the world around her. As they traveled, Daniel told her about the ranch. He spoke about the animals, the land, the work, and the challenges. He spoke honestly without trying to make things look easy. He spoke about the long days and the hard nights. He spoke about the loneliness. The woman listened carefully. She realized that he was not only asking for help, he was also asking her to understand his life. He was asking her to become a part of it. After a while, they reached the ranch. The house was simple but strong. It was made of wood and it had a small porch. The land around it was wide and open, with fences that stretched far into the distance. The woman saw a barn, a few animals, and a small garden. She also saw a child standing near the porch, watching them. The child was Emily. She looked small and thin, with dark hair and big eyes. She was wearing a simple dress, and her hands were holding a small doll. She looked at the woman with curiosity, but also with a little fear. She did not know who this woman was. She did not know if she could trust her. Daniel dismounted from the horse and walked toward the child. "Emily," he called softly, "this is the woman I told you about." Emily's eyes widened. She looked at the woman for a long moment. She did not say anything. She only stared. The woman felt a sudden wave of emotion. She felt her heart soften. She wanted to smile, but she did not want to scare the child. She took a small step forward and spoke gently. "Hello, Emily," she said. "My name is Anna." Emily's eyes did not move. She continued to stare. Her lips trembled slightly, as if she was trying to hold back tears. The woman realized that the child was not used to meeting new people. The woman realized that Emily had been living in a world where she had only known her father and her mother's memory. The woman knelt down and held out her hand. "Would you like to come closer?" she asked softly. Emily did not move. She looked at her father as if waiting for permission. Daniel nodded gently, encouraging her. Emily took a small step forward, then another. She stopped again, and then she slowly reached out her hand to take the woman's. The woman felt a small shock of happiness. She felt a warmth inside her. She felt that maybe this could work. She felt that maybe she could be a mother. They went inside the house. The inside was simple but clean. There were a few pieces of furniture, a small table, and a bed. The woman saw a photo on the wall. It was a picture of a woman, smiling. The woman realized that it was Daniel's wife. She felt a sudden pain in her chest. She felt sorry for the child and for the man. She felt sorry for the life that had been lost. Daniel noticed her reaction. He looked at the photo and said, "Her name was Sarah. She was a good woman. She was kind. She was my wife." The woman nodded, unable to speak. She felt the weight of his words. She felt the sadness in his voice. She realized that this was not just a ranch. This was a home that had once been filled with love. They sat at the table, and Daniel offered the woman some food. She ate slowly, thinking about everything she had seen. She thought about the land, the animals, the house, and the child. She thought about the hard work that would be needed. She thought about the loneliness that might come again. After lunch, Daniel took her on a tour of the ranch. He showed her the barn, the animals, the fields, and the garden. He explained how everything worked. He spoke about the daily tasks, the chores, and the responsibilities. He spoke about the times when he had to wake up early, work all day, and still have to take care of his daughter at night. The woman listened carefully. She realized that the ranch would not be easy. She realized that it would require her strength and her patience. She realized that she would have to learn new skills. She realized that she would have to change her life. As they walked, the woman noticed something else. She noticed how Daniel looked at his daughter. He looked at her with love, but also with worry. He looked at her as if he was afraid that something bad might happen. He looked at her as if he was trying to protect her from the world. The woman felt a deep respect for him. She realized that he was not only a strong man, he was also a caring father. He was a man who had been through pain but still continued to love. When they returned to the house, Emily followed them quietly. She stayed close to her father, but she also looked at the woman with curiosity. The woman smiled at her and said, "You have a beautiful home, Emily." Emily did not answer. She only looked at the woman and then she looked away. The woman understood that Emily was not ready to speak yet. She understood that Emily needed time. That evening the woman sat on the porch and watched the sun set. The sky turned orange and pink and the air became cooler. She thought about the day. She thought about the ranch. She thought about the child. She thought about the man who had come to her door. She realized that the rancher's offer was not only about work. It was about a chance to build a family. It was about a chance to bring love back into a home that had been empty for a long time. It was about a chance to heal. She also realized that she had a choice to make. She could go back to her life, stay alone, and continue to live as she always had. Or she could accept the challenge, leave her home, and become part of a new life. She felt fear. She felt doubt. She felt uncertainty. But she also felt something else. She felt hope. That night, Emily sat by her bed and looked at her doll. She thought about the woman who had come to the ranch. She thought about her father. She thought about her mother's photo. She thought about the idea of having someone new in their home. She felt a small hope, too. She hoped that the woman would stay. She hoped that the woman would like her. She hoped that the woman would become her mother. The next morning, Daniel spoke to the woman again. "I know this is a lot to think about," he said, "but I want you to know that you are welcome here. You do not have to decide today. You can take your time." The woman nodded. "I will think," she said. Daniel nodded and looked at his daughter. "Emily," he said softly, "go inside and rest." Emily walked inside and the door closed behind her. Daniel turned back to the woman and said, "I will give you a few days. You can go back to your home and you can think. You can come back if you want." The woman looked at him and felt the weight of his words. She knew that he was giving her freedom, but she also knew that he was hoping she would choose to stay. She returned to her home, riding back on the horse. The ride was quiet. The wind was calm. She thought about everything she had seen and felt. She knew that her life had changed. She knew that her heart was now involved. She did not know what her decision would be, but she knew that she would never forget the ranch, the little girl, and the man who had asked for help. She knew that the next few days would be the most important days of her life. The woman returned to her home, but she could not forget what she had seen. The ranch was now in her thoughts every hour of the day. She tried to work, but her mind kept going back to the wide fields, the quiet house, and the little girl's eyes. She felt something she had not felt in a long time, something gentle, something like hope. She spent the next 2 days thinking. She walked around her home, looked at her small garden, and touched the walls of her house as if she was trying to decide if she could leave them behind. She remembered her life, how she had built it with her own hands. She remembered the times she had worked hard to pay for food, clothes, and repairs. She remembered the nights she had spent alone, with only the sound of the wind outside. She also remembered the moments when she had wished for something more. She remembered the times when she had felt lonely, even when she was surrounded by people. She remembered the times when she had wanted someone to talk to, someone to share her life with, someone to care for. But she had never allowed herself to hope. She had always told herself that she could do everything alone. She had always told herself that she did not need anyone. She had always told herself that she was strong enough. Now, she realized that strength was not only about doing things alone. Strength was also about knowing when to accept help. Strength was also about letting someone else be a part of your life. On the third day after her visit to the ranch, she decided to return. She felt a strange feeling in her chest, fear mixed with excitement. She was not sure if she was ready, but she knew she had to face her feelings. She packed a small bag with a few clothes, some food, and a few personal items. She left a note on her table explaining that she was going away for a few days. She did not want to leave her home forever yet. She wanted to see if she could handle the change. She wanted to see if she could become part of the ranch. She walked to the town and met Daniel near the edge of the road. He was waiting, as he had promised. When he saw her, his face showed a small smile. It was the first time she had seen him smile. She felt her heart soften again. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. The woman nodded. "I want to try," she said, "but I need to know what you expect from me. I need to know what my life will be like." Daniel looked at her and replied, "I will be honest with you. I do not expect you to be perfect. I do not expect you to be a perfect mother. I do not expect you to know everything. I only expect you to try. I expect you to care for Emily. I expect you to help with the ranch. I expect you to be part of our life." The woman nodded slowly. She knew this was not a small decision. She knew she was stepping into a life that would change her forever. She felt nervous, but she also felt a sense of purpose. They rode back to the ranch together. The ride was quiet, but the silence felt different now. It did not feel empty. It felt calm. It felt like a new beginning. When they reached the ranch, Emily was waiting outside. She looked at the woman and then looked away quickly. She did not know what to do. She did not know how to act. She felt a mix of hope and fear. The woman stepped down from the horse and walked slowly toward Emily. She held out her hand. "Hi, Emily," she said softly. "I'm back." Emily looked at her hand, then at her face. She took a small step forward and placed her hand in the woman's. The woman felt a warm feeling spread through her chest. She realized that this small moment was the start of something important. Daniel watched them and smiled quietly. He felt relief and happiness. He had hoped that the woman would come back, but he was not sure. Now he saw that she was here. Now he felt that there might be a real chance for his family. The days that followed were full of new experiences. The woman began to learn the tasks of the ranch. She learned how to feed the animals, how to clean the barn, how to gather eggs, and how to help with the garden. She learned how to fix small things around the house. She learned how to work with her hands in a new way. It was not easy. Her body hurt at first. Her muscles ached. She felt tired in a way she had not felt before. She realized that ranch work was hard and it required a different kind of strength. She also realized that she had to learn quickly. There was no time to be slow. But she did not give up. She kept trying. She asked questions. She watched Daniel closely. She listened to him carefully. She worked hard and she slowly began to understand the rhythm of ranch life. Emily watched her quietly. Sometimes she helped too. She would bring water, carry small items, or stand close by while the woman worked. She did not speak much, but her eyes showed that she was paying attention. She was learning too. At night, the woman and Daniel would sit by the fire and talk. They talked about the day, about the work, and about the future. They talked about Emily and how she was doing. They talked about the memories of Sarah, Daniel's wife. They talked about the challenges they faced. The woman began to understand Daniel more. She understood that he was not only a strong man but also a gentle one. She understood that he had been carrying a heavy burden. She understood that he had been lonely for a long time. One night, Daniel spoke quietly. "I know this is not easy for you," he said. "I know you have your own life. I know you have your own dreams. I want you to know that I respect you. I do not want to force you to stay. I only want you to be happy." The woman looked at him and replied, "I am not sure what I want yet. I am not sure if I can do this. But I know that I want to try." Daniel nodded. "That is enough," he said. That is all I ask." As the days passed, the woman began to feel a change inside her. She began to feel more connected to the ranch. She began to feel that the land was becoming a part of her. She began to feel that the house was becoming a home. Emily began to open up more too. She started to speak a little more each day. She began to share stories about her mother. She began to ask the woman questions. She began to trust her more. One afternoon, the woman found Emily sitting by the small garden holding her mother's old photo. Emily looked sad and the woman sat beside her. "Do you miss her?" the woman asked softly. Emily nodded. "I miss her every day," she said quietly. The woman reached out and touched Emily's shoulder gently. "I know," she said. "I miss her too." Emily looked at her and said, "Will you stay?" The woman felt her heart tighten. She looked at Emily's face and she saw the fear and hope in her eyes. She knew that Emily needed a mother. She knew that she could not leave now. "I will stay for a while," the woman said softly. "I will stay and see how things go." Emily's eyes filled with tears. She hugged the woman tightly. The woman hugged her back, feeling a deep emotion inside her. That moment changed everything. The woman felt that she was not only helping a family, but she was becoming part of it. She felt that she was finally finding a place where she belonged. However, there were still challenges. The woman had to face her own doubts. She had to face the fear of failing. She had to face the fear of losing her independence. She had to face the fear of loving someone again. But she also had hope. She had hope that she could be strong in a different way. She had hope that she could be a mother. She had hope that she could build a new life. One morning, the woman woke up early and went outside. She stood on the porch and looked at the fields. The sun was rising and the world looked peaceful. She felt the wind on her face and she felt the earth beneath her feet. She thought about the decision she had made. She thought about the rancher's words, "You need help, and my little girl needs a mother." She realized that those words had changed her life. She realized that she had taken a step into a new world. She realized that she had chosen to try, and she knew that the journey was just beginning. The woman woke up early again, before the sun rose. She had begun to enjoy the quiet mornings on the ranch. The air smelled fresh, and the world felt peaceful. She went outside and stood on the porch, watching the sky slowly change color. She could hear the animals making small sounds in the distance. She felt a calm feeling inside her, as if the ranch was becoming part of her life. But even though she felt calm, she knew there were still many challenges ahead. The work was hard and the days were long. She also knew that she had to build trust with Emily and with Daniel. She had to prove that she was not only there for a short time. She had to prove that she could stay. That day, Daniel asked her to help with a task that was not easy. He wanted her to help with the cattle. The ranch had many cows, and they needed to be moved to a different field. It was a big job, and it required careful planning. The woman felt nervous. She had never worked with cattle before. She had never been in a situation where animals could become dangerous if they were not handled correctly. She knew that one wrong move could cause a problem. She knew that she had to be careful. Daniel noticed her fear. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder and said, "You can do this. I will be right beside you." The woman nodded and followed him. They walked toward the barn where the cattle were waiting. The woman could hear the animals moving and she could feel the strength in their bodies. She felt small in front of them, but she also felt determined. Daniel explained the plan. He told her where to stand, how to move, and what to do if an animal became aggressive. He spoke clearly and calmly. He did not rush her. He wanted her to feel safe. They began the work. The cattle moved slowly at first, but then they started to walk faster. The woman felt her heart beat faster. She held her ground and followed Daniel's instructions. She felt the power of the animals as they moved past her. She felt the dust in the air, and she felt the heat of the sun on her skin. At one point, a cow became scared and tried to turn back. The woman saw it and stepped forward quickly. She raised her arm and gently guided the animal back in the right direction. Daniel watched her and nodded. He was impressed. After a while, the cattle reached the new field. The work was done. The woman felt tired, but she also felt proud. She realized that she could handle more than she thought. She realized that she was stronger than she had believed. When they finished, Daniel looked at her and said, "You did well." The woman smiled, feeling happy. She had proven to herself that she could handle the work. She had proven that she could be part of the ranch. But the day was not only about work. It was also about building a family. The woman knew that she had to connect with Emily in a deeper way. She knew that she had to become someone Emily could trust and love. That afternoon, she decided to spend time with Emily. She found her sitting near the small garden, holding her mother's photo again. Emily looked sad, and the woman could see the pain in her eyes. The woman sat beside her and said softly, "Would you like to talk?" Emily looked at her and shook her head. She did not want to talk about her mother. She did not want to feel the pain again. She did not want to admit how much she missed her. The woman did not push her. She understood that Emily needed time. She understood that Emily needed to heal slowly. She knew that she could not rush her. Instead, the woman said, "Would you like to help me with something?" Emily looked at her, curious. "What?" she asked quietly. The woman smiled. "Let's make a small garden together," she said. "We can plant some flowers. We can take care of them. We can watch them grow." Emily's eyes widened. She had not thought about planting flowers. She had not thought about doing something simple and peaceful. She looked at the woman for a moment, then nodded slowly. They began to work together. They cleaned the soil, planted seeds, and watered the ground. The woman showed Emily how to gently press the seeds into the earth. Emily followed her carefully, as if she was learning something important. As they worked, Emily began to talk. She spoke about her mother's favorite flowers. She spoke about how her mother used to plant roses in the garden. She spoke about the way her mother laughed and smiled. The woman listened carefully, and she did not interrupt. She let Emily speak. The woman realized that this was a special moment. Emily was sharing her memories. Emily was letting the woman into her world. The woman felt a deep emotion inside her. She realized that Emily was beginning to trust her. After they finished planting, Emily stood up and looked at the garden. She smiled slightly. The woman smiled too. It was a small smile, but it felt meaningful. Later that evening, Daniel noticed the change in Emily. He saw that she seemed calmer. He saw that she was smiling more. He saw that she was spending time with the woman. He felt grateful. That night, the three of them sat together at the dinner table. The meal was simple, but it felt warm. The woman could feel a sense of family in the room. She could feel that something was growing between them. But even as things were improving, there were still challenges. The woman had to face the townspeople. Some of them did not like the idea of her staying at the ranch. They talked about her behind her back. They said she was making a mistake. They said she would regret leaving her independence. The woman heard the rumors, but she did not respond. She knew that people would always talk. She knew that she could not control what others thought. She knew that she had to focus on her own life and her own family. One day, a man from the town came to the ranch. He was a neighbor, and he had a serious look on his face. He asked to speak with Daniel. The woman watched from a distance as they talked. She could not hear everything, but she could see the worry on Daniel's face. She saw his brow tighten, and she saw him nod slowly. When the man left, Daniel turned to the woman and said, "There is a problem with the water supply. The well is not working properly." The woman felt her stomach tighten. Water was important for the ranch. Without water, the animals could not survive. Without water, the crops would die. Without water, the family would struggle. Daniel continued, "I will need to fix it soon. I may need help." The woman nodded. She felt the fear again, but she also felt the determination. She knew that this was another test. She knew that this was another moment where she had to choose to stay. That evening, she sat with Daniel and said, "I want to help. I want to be part of this. I want to do what I can." Daniel looked at her with gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly. It means a lot. They worked together for the next few days. They dug near the well, repaired the pump, and checked the pipes. It was hard work, but they did not give up. They worked as a team. During those days, the woman noticed something important. She noticed that Daniel was not only a strong worker, but he was also a patient teacher. He explained things carefully. He encouraged her. He praised her when she did well. He never made her feel small. The woman realized that this was one of the reasons she was starting to care for him. She realized that she felt safe with him. She realized that she felt respected. One evening, after a long day of work, they sat on the porch together. The sky was dark and the stars were bright. Emily was inside sleeping. The woman looked at Daniel and said, "I am still not sure about the future. I am still scared, but I am not afraid of being here." Daniel looked at her and nodded. "That is a good start," he said. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Daniel spoke again, quietly. "I want you to know something," he said. "I did not ask you to come because I wanted a wife. I asked you because my daughter needed a mother. But now, I think I am also finding someone to share my life with." The woman felt her heart beat faster. She looked at him and saw the honesty in his eyes. She realized that he was not only a father but a man with feelings. She realized that he was opening his heart. She did not know what to say. She felt shy. She felt unsure. But she also felt something warm inside her. She felt that maybe she was beginning to love him. She looked at him and said softly, "I am not sure what the future will bring, but I am grateful for this life. I am grateful for you and Emily." Daniel smiled, and for the first time the woman felt truly happy. She felt that she had made the right choice. The night ended with a calm feeling. The ranch was quiet and the world felt peaceful. The woman knew that there would be more challenges ahead, but she also knew that she was not alone. She knew that she had a family now, and as she looked at the stars, she felt a sense of hope. She felt that the future could be bright. She felt that the ranch was no longer just a place of work. It was a place of love. The sun rose slowly over the ranch, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. The morning felt calm, but the woman could feel a new kind of energy inside her. She had been living on the ranch for weeks now, and she could feel the difference in her heart. She was no longer a visitor. She was becoming part of the family. She walked outside and saw Daniel already working. He was fixing a fence, and his hands moved quickly and confidently. She watched him for a moment and she felt a deep respect. She knew he worked hard every day. She knew he carried the weight of the ranch on his shoulders. She knew he carried the weight of being a father alone. When Daniel noticed her, he smiled and waved. "Good morning," he called. "Good morning," she replied. She walked over to him and handed him a cup of water. He took it and nodded with thanks. The day began with their usual work. They fed the animals, checked the fields, and repaired the fences. Emily helped too. She carried small tools, held buckets, and watched carefully. The woman saw how Emily was growing more confident. She saw how she was beginning to trust them both. At lunch, the woman noticed that Emily was quieter than usual. She looked at her and asked gently, "Is everything okay?" Emily nodded slowly but did not say anything. The woman could tell that something was bothering her. After lunch, they finished their work early. The woman decided to talk to Emily again. She found her sitting near the garden, watching the flowers they had planted. The flowers were beginning to grow and their small green leaves looked fresh and bright. The woman sat beside Emily and said softly, "You can tell me anything. I am here for you." Emily looked at her and then looked away. She held her mother's photo in her hands. Her eyes were wet. "I miss her," Emily said quietly. The woman felt her heart ache. She knew the pain of missing someone. She knew how difficult it was to live with a memory that never left you. "I miss her too," the woman said softly. "But I am here now. I will not replace her. I will just be here to love you and care for you." Emily looked at her and asked, "Will you be my mother?" The woman felt tears in her eyes. She took a deep breath and said, "I will try my best. I will be your mother in the way you need me to be." Emily smiled, and for the first time the woman saw a real smile. It was a small smile, but it was filled with hope. Emily hugged her tightly and the woman hugged her back. That evening, Daniel joined them. He sat on the porch and watched the two of them. He could see the bond growing between them. He felt his heart fill with warmth. He knew that their family was becoming real. They ate dinner together and the mood felt light. They talked about simple things, about the work, the weather, and the future. It felt like a normal family, and the woman realized how much she had missed this feeling. After dinner, Daniel asked the woman to sit with him. They walked to the edge of the field where the view was wide and open. The sky was full of stars and the air was cool. Daniel spoke quietly. "I want to thank you," he said. "You have changed our lives. You have brought hope back into our home." The woman looked at him and smiled. "You have changed my life too," she said. "You have shown me that I do not have to be alone. You have shown me that I can love again." Daniel nodded. "I know this is not easy," he said, "but I want you to know that I care for you. I care for you in a way I did not think I could anymore." The woman felt her heart beat faster. She looked at him and saw the honesty in his eyes. She realized that he was not only a man who needed help, he was also a man who had a heart that could love again. She felt shy, but she also felt brave. She took a deep breath and said, "I care for you too." They stood in silence for a moment. The wind blew gently and the stars shone brightly. The woman felt a sense of peace. She felt that she was finally where she belonged. But their life was not only filled with calm and peace. There were still challenges ahead. The ranch was still a place of hard work. The weather could change quickly. The land could be harsh. The animals could be difficult. They had to be ready for anything. One day a storm approached. The sky turned dark and the wind began to blow strongly. The clouds moved quickly and the air felt heavy. Daniel knew that they had to prepare. He called the woman and Emily inside. They worked together to secure the barn, tie the animals, and protect the house. They moved supplies inside and made sure everything was safe. Emily helped too, and she felt proud to be part of the work. As the storm hit, the wind howled and the rain fell hard. The sound of the storm was loud, but the woman felt safe. She was with her family. She was inside the house with the people she cared about. They sat together, listening to the storm. Daniel held Emily close, and the woman held her own hands, feeling the warmth of the moment. The storm lasted for hours, but they were safe. When the storm passed, the sun came out again. The land looked wet and fresh. The air smelled clean. The woman felt a sense of relief. She looked at Daniel and smiled. "We made it," she said. Daniel nodded. "We did," he replied. The next morning they went outside to check the damage. The land was a little messy and some of the fences were broken, but nothing was seriously damaged. They worked together to fix everything. The woman realized that this was part of ranch life. It was not only about good days, it was also about hard days. As they worked, the woman noticed something. She noticed that Emily was laughing more. She noticed that Emily was playing with the animals. She noticed that Emily was starting to feel happy again. The woman felt a deep joy. She realized that she had made the right choice. She realized that she had become part of a family. She realized that her life had meaning. One evening, the woman sat with Daniel and Emily by the fire. They talked about the future. They talked about the plans for the ranch. They talked about the dreams they had. Emily looked at them and said, "I want to plant more flowers." The woman smiled. "We will plant many flowers," she said. "We will make the garden beautiful." Daniel looked at them and said, "We will make this place a home." The woman looked at him and felt a warmth inside her. She knew that their life would not be perfect. There would be hard days. There would be challenges. But she also knew that they would face everything together. As the night grew deeper, the woman felt a sense of peace. She looked at the stars and thought about the journey she had taken. She remembered the day the rancher came to her door. She remembered his words, "You need help, and my little girl needs a mother." She realized that those words had changed her life. She realized that she had been given a chance to love again. She realized that she had been given a chance to be part of something bigger than herself. She looked at Daniel and Emily, and she felt grateful. She felt thankful for the opportunity to build a new life. She felt thankful for the chance to be a mother. She felt thankful for the chance to love. And as she closed her eyes, she knew that their family would continue to grow. She knew that their love would continue to grow. She knew that their life on the ranch would be filled with hard work, but also with happiness. The future was not certain, but she was no longer afraid. She was ready for whatever came next, because she had found a home, a family, and a new beginning.